sports, the National Hockey League has agreed on its biggest sponsorship deal ever.
Well, that's as a result, you're going to see a lot more Molson and Coors beer at NHL games. Great, absolutely. More beer at hockey. Michele Steele has the latest. Michele?
Well, Lizzie, I've always believed that beer makes everything better, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, here to help break down the deals, a guy who helped broker it, John Collins, Chief Operating Officer at the National Hockey League. So, John, let's hit the ground running here. Molson Canadian is the new official beer of the NHL in North America. You know, let's sort of put this in context. We're hearing it's a $375 million deal over 7 years. How much bigger is this over the last beer deal you had, the Anheuser-Busch-owned Labatt deal?
It's really two to three times the total spending, and they'll spend with us in terms of our events. They'll spend with the clubs, and they'll spend a significant money on our television partners, both at a national and a regional level.
Now, we have to obviously also point out here that Coors is going to be the secondary brand that will be marketed at American games, and at Canadian games we'll see Molson, correct?
Yeah, no, it was really important to us. I mean, the Molson Canadian brand is an iconic Canadian brand, really iconic with hockey. But Coors Light is a big brand. It's the #1 brand in Canada and a huge brand here in the U.S. And they've done some great things in their sports activation over the years. So we're really excited to have both brands activating against the NHL.
You know, one thing I need to ask you about this deal is that Labatt is not going away quietly here, John. You know, they put out a press release yesterday very, very quickly saying they thought they had a deal until 2014 and may pursue legal strategies. They could sue. What's the league's take on that? Do they dispute that? Do you guys dispute that?
Yeah, well, look, Labatt and Anheuser-Busch, frankly, have been great partners, and they continue to be great partners with the league and all of our clubs and our network partners. As it relates to the Labatt deal, you know, we completely disagree with their assertion that we had a deal for next year.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the sponsorship environment overall. You know, sponsorship revenue year over year is up something like 30%. Right. You know, what's fueling all that? I know you guys have re-signed 4 new sponsors.
Well, you know, the game is great. It's really at a high point, and I think a lot of the momentum in the business is showing up. You know, we've been on a strategy now to use big events like the Winter Classic and the Heritage Classic, which just happened last weekend, and digital media to create an easy path for advertisers to spend against the NHL demo, which is the best demo in sports.
Yeah, very affluent. And you know, the way that this sort of affects the larger strategy for the NHL is could potentially be the television rights deal, which is up in about 6 months, and you guys are in negotiation stages right now. How do you think that, you know, a company like Molson coming up and spending this kind of money may affect the television rights package?
Well, I think, you know, any television partner, and we have 2 great ones in NBC and Versus, they want to know that people are going to spend money in advertising. You know, advertising is kind of the fuel that drives the entire sports business and certainly drives rights fees. So a deal of this size and a commitment from a company like Miller, Molson, Coors is an important signal that the business has got a lot of momentum and that there's a lot of upside going forward.
You know, another thing that we're hearing, speaking of watching hockey games, is that Google is in talks with the NHL about possibly streaming games on YouTube. Is that something that we might see? I know you have Game Center Live already, which is a digital product that does stream games right now. Could we see games for free on YouTube?
I think we can see classic games and highlights. I think in terms of the actual live games, you know, we want to get our product out to fans as easily as we can. So we stress, you know, the latest technology, mobile, tablet, everything else. But I think, you know, our Game Center Live product is the subscription product for out-of-market games, and that's probably where we'll put our focus.
And just very quickly here, how long before we see fans drink Molson out of the Stanley Cup?
As soon as next year.
Okay. We've got you on the record on that, John.
Thanks, Michelle.
Anyway, John Collins, COO of the National Hockey League.